Hello, I'm Tom Harris. I'm a professor of economics and director of the University Center for Economic Development at the University of Nevada, Reno. Many times when working with us here at the University Center, we complete studies looking at trends in socioeconomic data and determining economic development targets that many communities have asked us to complete. After designating these targets, many communities ask, what do we do next? How do we attain these? That is the topic of today's podcast. The next question issue, what do we do next? Today I have Dr. Fred Steinmann. He works with us at the UCED and in the School of Business. He also heads up the UNR leadership program that many people have in the state have taken many of his classes. We will have in this contact information at the last that you may want to talk to Fred or even have some comments on this podcast. And so to start this, what do we do next? Fred, what do people do next?
Well, Tom, thank you very much for having me on today's podcast, and it certainly is an important question that unfortunately a lot of communities don't think about as they're developing their strategic economic development plans. And after a community has gone through that process of identifying and designating various targets and trying to get a sense of what they want their community to look like and which path they want it to grow in the next 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20, even as far as 50 years out, the real question is, how are you going to fund it? How are you going to put the financial resources behind the actual policies and programs that you're going to put in place as part of your strategic economic development plan? And kind of in a way of answering that question is to think about kind of the practitioner more than just the academic. So prior to joining you here at the University Center for Economic Development, I worked for the City of Carson in Southern California in the Business Services Department, and then prior to that, the Reno Redevelopment Agency. And at my time at both the City of Reno here in Nevada and the City of Carson in Southern California, I became very familiar with a variety of financing or funding tools that local governments in both Nevada and California have used to effectively and efficiently fund their strategic economic development plans. And the four approaches that I want to share with you, and of course the people watching this podcast, really begins with redevelopment and redevelopment of communities as defined in Nevada Revised Statute Chapter 279, general improvement districts as defined in Nevada Revised Statute Chapter 318, special assessment districts in Nevada Revised Statute Chapter 271, and tax increment areas as defined in Nevada Revised Statute 278C. As you, and I'm sure the viewers of this podcast are aware of and familiar with, Nevada is of course a Dillon's Law state as opposed to home rule. So in Nevada, local governments, cities and municipalities, but cities in particular, can only do what the legislature authorizes them to do. And over the last 50 or so years, the Nevada State Legislature has understood that local government really cannot be reliant upon traditional forms of public funding and financing, such as property tax revenue, sales tax revenue, business license revenue, transient occupancy tax revenue, and other sources that are collected by municipalities and then are just thrown into the general fund, and then every year they get together during the budgetary process to make decisions. So the legislature over the last 50 years have created these four primary funding and finance tools as a way for local governments to identify funding streams to fund their economic development plans. Redevelopment, as defined in NRS Chapter 279, is mostly focused on the use of tax increment financing. So every time a redevelopment district and a redevelopment agency is created, a base level of property tax revenue in the district is established. And then the redevelopment agency will collect whatever new property tax revenue is generated year after year from that redevelopment district. And the redevelopment agency, hopefully working in cooperation with the city, the county, a school district, small business development centers, various merchant and business associations, and even individual property owners will identify opportunities for reinvestment of those dollars to achieve a larger strategic economic development goal, such as the elimination or mitigation of blight. That can be used to acquire property, to do demolition, to finance construction, to create and fund revolving loan funds for small businesses, commercial facade programs, even residential improvement programs. Redevelopment is sort of the Cadillac approach in the way in which local government in Nevada can fund very specific economic development programs in a defined geographic area. We can look at a couple other tools which are less robust as redevelopment, but counties like Douglas County in particular have made good use of the General Improvement District legislation and statute in NRS Chapter 381. Here, a local government, a county or a municipality, will identify a very specific thing that they need to finance. And hopefully that thing will be tied to a very well-defined geographic area, a combination of city blocks or large-scale properties in an unincorporated part of a county. And the county hopefully will be able to tailor-make or focus the benefit of the strategic economic development plan to just those property owners. And they'll create this new assessment, in a general improvement district, and then charge some ad valorem or property tax rate and collect those revenues year after year to fund that specific economic development interest. We can also use something very similar in the special assessment districts world under NRS Chapter 271. And SADs, or special assessment districts, operate very similar to general improvement districts, where you identify a specific geographic area and then create this special property tax assessment in order to generate enough revenues in order to essentially support whatever programming you're doing in an area. Probably the biggest success story of the use of special assessment districts in Nevada has been a component of NRS 271 called the Commercial Area Vitalization Project, or CAVP. The city of Las Vegas created the very first CAVP in the state as part of the Fremont experience. And most of the capital infrastructure projects that went to building kind of the domed arch as well as some of the supporting infrastructure is being paid using this type of a special assessment district. Of course, for the city of Las Vegas, rehabilitation of their downtown and some of the older hotel casino properties outside of the Strip was a primary concern. And they wanted to use the SAD legislation and specifically the CAVP to generate a pool of resources from a group of property owners where targeted investment in tourism-oriented development would have the greatest impact. And certainly we've seen, at least within the Fremont experience area, real success start to develop out of that initial process. Kind of the poor man's version of redevelopment is tax increment areas, or NRS Chapter 278C. Whereas redevelopment under NRS 279 allows a municipality or a county to collect incremental property tax revenues from a defined geographic area that would have gone to the state, the county, the school district, and the municipality, the tax increment area only allows the municipality or the county to reallocate its own portion of that increment. But it can do essentially everything that a redevelopment district can. A governing body in a tax increment area can use those resources to acquire property, to do demolition, to fund programs, to fund construction, whatever the specifics of a wider and larger economic development plan call for. So that's pretty much the basic approach in which local governments, again, counties and municipalities, can use to fund their various strategic economic development interests.
So these are also available, all four, for urban as well as rural counties?
Absolutely. When the legislature created each one of these four tools over the last 50 or so years, they really did not make any distinguishing characteristics or qualifications in terms of population. There are some limitations buried within the statutes, but that's probably more a question for a city attorney or legal counsel than a little old academic professor like me.
Well, as you can see, this is a very interesting part of anybody's economic development program, the understanding of these approaches. And like I said, Fred does a lot of workshops in which he gets in more detail, which we don't want to do in this podcast. And so I hope we've given you an overview of ways to make your economic development plans, how to make them actual, and maybe how to also finance them. Fred, is there any other you want to add to this?
Just to kind of tag along with what you just said, as the head of the University of Nevada, Reno's Nevada Leadership Program, we offer a variety of different workshops, really tailor-made for elected and appointed officials, government executive staff, and even members of the public that are interested in learning more about these issues. In fact, just recently, back on May 31st, 2017, we had one of our workshops, the Financing Local Government Toolkit workshop, that was primarily focused on using these 4 financing tools to fund different strategic economic development programs and efforts. We do announce workshops from time to time on our website, the Nevada Leadership Program's website, as well as the Nevada Leadership Program's Facebook page. So for those individuals who are interested in learning more about these tools, as well as upcoming workshops, I'd encourage your viewers to go to the Nevada Leadership Program's website and Facebook page in order to get information about upcoming workshops. We do place all our curriculum for free at no charge up on our workshop websites, or the Nevada Leadership Program website. So I would also encourage people to go there to download the material that you're seeing on your screen and share with their colleagues and friends as well.
And if some county community a specialized program, I guess you can do that for them too.
Absolutely. Very easy to get in touch with me. Phone number is 775-784-1655. But even easier is my email address, Fred, F-R-E-D, @unr.edu.
Okay. Well, I hope you found this information that could help you. And like I said, there are some comments that you can place on this podcast or get in contact with us. Fred, thank you for your time, and we'll talk to you later on other podcasts from the University Center for Economic Development. Thank you.